14 ways you can raise private money for real estate deals. To this day, I still shake my head at how hard it was to find money when I first started in real estate. I'd get promises that I'd find a great deal, I'd take it to them, they'd back out because they didn't like the area, or they said that it was on the news the night before, or they ran out of money, or whatever the case was. There was always an excuse. They just never understood how difficult it was to find a good deal. So luckily, I was able to work through that, and I was able to get to the point where I attracted money for my deals without having to do so much for myself, mainly by establishing a track record. But let's talk about some ways that you can actually get some private money to help you get your deals going and get into the fix and flip business. Okay, number one, it's called love money. This is one of my favorites. It's basically make a list of everyone who loves you and ask them if they would be interested in investing in real estate. Now, you've got to formalize this, especially when you're dealing with a family member, and make sure they understand what they're getting themselves into and the risk associated with that. There's two ways to handle love money. You can do debt or you can do equity, okay? Debt basically means you're promising to repay them that money no matter what happens, whether the deal goes good or the deal goes bad. You're promising to repay them that money and you're committing to doing that. Second way is equity, where they're saying, hey, I'll give you a percentage of ownership in the deal and you get what you get. If it's good, you'll get your money back first, and then everybody else will get a percentage and you'll get a percentage. Now, obviously, if they're doing debt, they're going to want a higher percentage of the profits in order to make up for it. Sometimes there's a preferred return. Hey, you get your money back first, and then we'll give you 8%, and then after that, we'll split 70-30, 80-20, 90-10, whatever it is, 50-50, whatever you decide to do. And that's the best way for love money. If you are going to use love money, make sure you have contracts, make sure you have agreements, and make sure everybody's on the same page. It's really important that everyone understands the risks associated with this. If the property doesn't sell and then we can't do it, and there may not be enough money, you might get less or you could get more. Like, you have to understand these risks, because the last thing you want to do is showing up to a family reunion where everybody's pissed at you. Okay, number two, make it known what you do. Tell people you're investing in real estate. There is a lot of money on the sidelines. If you think about it, banks used to pay a 1% interest rate. Now they pay 0.1, so a tenth of what they were paying before. So there's lots of money sitting on the sidelines. Now, there's a lot of people that have that money that they'd like to get it to work, and it could be a blessing in their life if you teamed up with them and helped them, again, as long as they understand those risks. So telling people, hey, I do real estate investing. If you ever know somebody that has money that wants to get it working, or if you ever know somebody that has a property that's in need of repairs or an estate sale or something, just let me know. I'm a property solver. I solve real estate problems. That's what I do, both from people that have money that they want to invest and people who need money when they need to liquidate a property quickly. So make it known what you do. Number three, local networking events and groups. Okay, so what we're talking about here is different types of meetups. So there's meetups, there's real estate associations, there's clubs, there's cash flow clubs. Networking at those types of events, there are people hanging out there that may have money but don't want to do the work of finding the property and doing the repairs and all that type of stuff. They'll say, hey, you know what? You bring a good deal, I'll fund it for you and I'll take a percentage or I'll take an equity share. So you've got that type of local networking at events. Number four, I'm going to talk about is online networking. Now, this one became more popular back when I started in real estate investing. This was not even a thing, but if you go onto Facebook, you will find different real estate investment groups. You'll find investment groups for commercial. You'll find investment groups for residential. You'll find fix and flip. You'll find landlord groups, and they're even city specific, where you can say, hey, a real estate landlords associations, those types of things. And there are those groups that are actually online. So even if you can't go to a local event, you can connect with them and network with them online, which is also good if you're investing out of the state that you actually live in, because you can start making some connections with other people that are local that could be helping you out. So that's online networking. Number five, this is one of the most overlooked ways of coming up with some cash. Now, keep in mind, you may need to do a few of these, okay? So you may need to come up with some money from a hard money lender and then use some money for some love money, or you might need to get some money from a friend, or one of my favorites is a house line of credit. Most people don't realize the equity in their home is really inexpensive to get to. If you have a loan on your property for $100,000 and your property's worth $300,000, you could go to the bank and get up to about 90%, maybe 80%. So you get another $150,000, let's say. Well, that money is a line of credit. And this is what people don't understand on lines of credit. You can go get a line of credit, and if you don't use it, you won't ever pay anything on it. Most banks will do a line of credit without any costs, and you only pay interest when you draw and you use the money out. This is perfect because it's like your own mini bank. If you need the money because an opportunity comes, go get the line of credit on your house. Don't use this money to go to Disneyland or spend on Christmas or whatever the case is. If a great opportunity comes along, you can say, great, I'm gonna take some money out. I'm gonna do this opportunity with my hard money lender, but I've gotta bring some money or whatever the case is, and then I'm gonna pay it back. It's going to be a lot cheaper than what you're going to pay anywhere else. It's a great way to do it, and that is responsible debt, not consumer debt. Like if you took the money to go to Disneyland, that's irresponsible. If you're investing it in another property, I would call that more on the responsible debt side of things. Okay, number 6, getting ahead of myself. Credit card finance. A lot of people don't realize this, but there's what's called credit card stacking, where you can get credit cards from different places. You can stack those, and typically you can get a year without any type of interest on it. You can take that money, you can use that money for an investment, and then you can pay that money back and hopefully not even pay any interest if you have it for less than the year. Now, is this a little bit riskier? Well, maybe. I think it's only risky. Lots of people say, oh, I hate credit cards, and I fully understand that. But you really only hate credit cards if you spend more than you make. You really only hate credit cards if you're irresponsible with them. If you're responsible with them, you can get sky miles and all kinds of other fun things. The whole issue comes down to discipline and not overspending. But if I'm using that credit card money to invest into a property that should get me an even higher return, it's a little bit more responsible than going to the department stores and buying every clothes you may think you'll ever want and you never return, and you probably never even wear them anyway. Okay, number 7, this is called a seller carryback. What is a seller carryback? It's when the seller sells the property and they hold back some of the money. Let me explain. Let's get our whiteboard going here. So let's say the seller wants to sell the property for $150,000. This beautiful house right here, okay? They want to sell it for $150,000, but you can only come up with $125,000. So this is what happens. You say, hey seller, I'll give you $125,000. But the other $25,000 I will pay you when I sell the property, and I will sign a note, which is unsecured. It doesn't get a secure against the property. And when I sell that property, I'll pay the 25, and you may have to give them some type of an interest rate and say, hey, I'll give you this interest rate. So the idea is I'll get you 125 now, I'll get you 25. I'll sign a note that says I owe you $25,000. And then when I sell the property, I will pay that $25,000 plus some type of an interest on it. So they get most of their money. Some of their money is held out until you actually sell the property, which means you didn't have to come up with the $25,000. They came up with the $25,000 for you because they took $25,000 less up front because they're going to take $25,000 on the back end. And the reason they would do that is that there's something in it for them on the back end, like an interest rate, profit split, or something like that. That can work out really well. The big thing I got to tell you though is most hard money lenders are not going to want to have them as a secured creditor, which means they're not going to want them in a second place position. They're going to want to make sure it's an unsecured, which is a little bit more of a risky situation for the seller because they're not securitized to the property. They're secured against your good name and your ability to repay them. So that's one of the things you've got to keep in mind here, and something that they need to understand and you need to understand as well. But that is number 7, seller carrybacks that are unsecured. Let's talk about number 8. A reduction in the purchase price. Let's just say, hey, you can't come up with all the money. Let's jump back over to the whiteboard here. Let's just say in this example that you need $150,000. Let's say your hard money loan's for $140. You're $20K shy. Okay, cash to close. Let's say you've got $15,000. So you're at $5,000 deficit. What are you going to do to get this? Well, one of the things you can do is go back to the seller and say, hey seller, you know what? I can close this thing. I can close it this week, but I got to go from 150 to 145 and we can make this deal happen. So it's a renegotiating with the seller to take a little bit less so there's less cash involved in the transaction to get you there closer to the deal. Reduction in purchase price is not used enough. I can tell you that right now. Number 9, this is called credit cards. It's not like what we were talking about earlier, credit card finance, we're talking about your actual credit cards. Your credit cards will allow you to do what's called a cash advance. That cash advance is typically a very high interest rate, and they typically will only let you go up to 50% of your available balance. So meaning if you have $20,000 you can use on a credit card, you can typically get up to $10,000 as a cash advance. Why is this helpful? It can make up the difference in some of the repair costs. So let's say most hard money lenders are going to make you spend it, do it, and then get reimbursed for that, or get your lender reimbursed for that, because they want to make sure it's permanently installed in the property. Well, this can cause for some cash crunches along the way. So you can use your credit card as part of this so that you can get the cash advance or put the materials on there and then get paid back. Now, most good general contractors should have lines of credit with net terms. What that basically means is they go and get supplies from the supply house, and they don't have to pay the supply house for 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. Usually they'll get those terms for free. They won't have to pay any interest on it, which gives them the ability to go get the stuff, put it in the property, get the inspection, and then get paid, and then they can pay their creditors where the supply house where they actually have those net 30, 60, or 90 terms. Net 30, 60, 90 basically means you can take it and you pay us in 30 or 60 or 90 days. So depending upon the contractor, but that's something you want to make sure asking your contractors if they have lines of credit or if they have terms with their supply houses. Another quick tip, a little bit off the subject though. Okay, number 10. This is one that's really not used enough. People forget about it, and that's your retirement accounts. Your 401k, your IRA, those types of things. And there's a couple of ways you can use your retirement accounts in connection with hard money to make the deals actually happen. Or if you have enough money in your 401k, you could use the entire balance. Now, there's a couple of ways to get money out. Number one, you can take a loan out against your retirement account. You typically can take for a certain period of time. You typically have to pay yourself back that interest and the principal, but you can take a loan out and say, hey, I need some money quick. Let's do that. I'll pay it back in 6 months when I resell the property. So that's one way to do this. The second way that you can do this is what's called self-directed. With your retirement account, if you roll it over to what's called a self-directed retirement, what you can actually do is use that to invest in properties or assets or fine art or whatever the case is. It is a self-directed, meaning you get to decide where that money goes as long as it's an asset that you can hang on to that you're actually investing in. Well, if you do that, your 401k could be purchasing the property. So that's something to keep in mind. It's called self-directed. Check it out. It will be a huge help to you as you're investing in real estate. All right, we alluded to this before with business partners, but rather than using what I call love money with people that love and know, now we're getting into the realm of business partners. Business partner is somebody that you don't have a relationship with that's coming in. Maybe you met them at your RIA club, maybe you met them online networking, maybe you got referred to them from a family member, but this becomes a formalized. A business partner can be for one transaction or can be for multiple transactions. So what you could be doing is setting up a partnership, and that partnership could say, we're going to form this LLC and we're going to do these deals in the LLC. This guy's going to put up money, I'm going to put up work and sweat equity in finding it, and then we're going to do this type of a split. He'll get his money back. And debt is where they say, I want a percentage of my money. The number 12 way is where we do equity. Again, they get what they get. They get a percentage of the equity. They get their cash back first, and then there is a split. But this isn't a formalized business partnership where the love money is just a one-off agreement for that one property. A business partner is somebody you'd be working with for a while to come. Now, this can be really helpful, especially if you connect it with hard money. You can go get your hard money. You can get a business partner to put up some other cash, maybe he has $30,000 or $50,000, which would enable you to do deals you wouldn't be able to do necessarily only with a hard money lender. And then you come up with some sort of money he's going to get paid back as a percentage, gets his money back, plus gets a kicker. And he may even want to get a little bit of a percentage. It's called a preferred return. And then you do your type of split. So there's lots of ways you can structure that, but business partners is number 11 and 12. 11 is business partner debt and 12 is business partner equity. All right, number 13. Number 13 is gap financing. So there are people out there that will finance the gap. The difference between what you need and what you have is called the gap, and they can finance the gap. Now, those are high-risk loans, and they are going to be looking for a good return because of the risk that they're actually taking on. But you can find some gap financiers that'll finance the gap, the difference between what you have and what you need from the hard money lender, and that is item number 12 on ways to do this. Item number 14. Use other property as collateral, okay? So let's jump over to our handy dandy whiteboard again here. Let's say you own this house. And let's say this house is worth $150,000. and let's say you owe $30,000 on it. You got to have equity, right? And you want to buy this house over here, and this house over here is $200,000. Let's say that the hard money lender can only get you 170, let's say it's 200 with repairs and everything else like that, okay? So you're a short $30,000. Well, what can happen is you can say, hard money lender, I only owe 30 on this. Hard money lender is going to want to be in first position, so you'll come and say, hey, you know what? What I'll do is I'll do a loan for $60,000 against this property. I'll pay off your first. I'll give you the 30, and then that 30 can be used here, so you can actually come on this. So they're actually doing two separate loans: a loan on this property, or they're the same loan secured by both properties. They've paid off your first loan, and now you've got this, the money to actually do this deal. When this property sells, it pays off both of these, and you end up with this property free and clear, and you end up selling and making money on this property. Now, there's also the strategy with this where you can actually do that with your own house. But if you're doing that, you're getting a line of credit like we talked about earlier, where you're getting a line of credit from the bank, which can work really well if you got to come up with that $30,000. Otherwise, it's got to be a rental property or a second home or something like that, but it can't be owner occupied. That's one of the things that you run into quite a bit when you're dealing with investment lenders, hard money lenders. They're not going to want to lend on owner occupied property. All right, guys, I want to run through these again. These are the 14 ways that you can come up with money in conjunction with your hard money lender in order for you to make deals happen. Number 1 is love money. Number 2 is make it known what you do, that you're an investor. Number 3 is local networking with events and groups. Number 4 is online networking. Number 5 is a house line of credit. Number 6 is credit card finance. Number 7 is an unsecured seller carryback. Number 8 is a reduction in the purchase price. Number 9 is credit cards. Number 10 is your 401k or IRA retirement. Number 11 is business partner with debt. Number 12 is business partner with equity. Number 13 is gap financing. And number 14 is using another property with equity as collateral. All right, guys, if you are interested in knowing and understanding why hard money is the backbone of fix and flip funding, I've put a video together for you. You can check it out. We go through why hard money comes before finding a property. You got to have it first. Why every deal should start with finding a hard money lender. What to look for. So check out this video and make it a very profitable day.